Hello everyone, for this set of videos we'll be talking about the magic of Latin in Harry Potter. So to get started real quick, so there is Latin in Harry Potter. The author, J.K. Rowling, was a Latinist, or actually is. So we like Harry Potter here because there is a bunch of Latin in it and there's tons of examples. So many of the things that you see that aren't English, like some characters' names and spells and magical creatures, things that seem like things that seem to be gibberish, actually a lot of times are based off of Latin. So it's very interesting to see. So when you know Latin and when you learn a lot of this, when you're reading the books and watching the movies, you see a lot of things make sense. Where a lot of the spells and creatures are kind of explained through their names. So the spells seen on the screen here, they all seem kind of like nonsense when you read the book or watch the movies, because they're not saying anything in English, but the meaning of the spells in Latin actually makes a lot of sense for what the spell actually does. So a lot of the ones seen here, so like Lumos, it means light, so it makes sense that the spell brings light, which normally would not make much sense, but if you know Latin, the spell says exactly what it will do. Same with the other two on the screen, Accio. So it changes to I summon, which Accio summons a charm. So a bunch of spells like this. There are plenty of examples throughout the books of spells that kind of say what they mean through their Latin. And next we have more spells that kind of describe their meaning. So Nox is the cast spell to Lumos, so that turns off a light. And Nox means night or darkness in Latin. So that makes sense, where normally the spell would be kind of confusing to understand, but in this instance it makes sense that that the spell would make it dark. So Expecto Patronum, same thing. That one kind of makes more of a sentence as opposed to just a saying or phrase. So the phrase in Latin actually means I await a helper. When you think about the movies and the books, how Harry Potter uses it and what the spell does, it makes sense that it would give him a helper. And the next one, so the Expelliarmus makes sense because it's what they use to disarm an opponent, disarm them from the wand. So it makes sense because the Latin of the spell literally means to expel weapons. So it gets rid of an opponent's weapon. So there are tons more like this. This is not the only spells. There are tons of spells, some ones that aren't used as much. These are just the most popular and the most common ones in the books, but there are plenty of spells used throughout the books and the movies that have some kind of nod to Latin, either directly, like you see with Expecto Patronum, where it very literally translates, or Nox, they quite literally translate to what they do. Some of them are more kind of like a reference to what they do. So there are plenty of examples to here. And yeah, many of them are kind of nods to it, where even if it's not an exact meaning, like as long as not all of them, the Latin exactly describes what's being done, but they kind of give a nod or give a hint to what the spell will do. So in the next video we will move on to the pronunciation of spells, magical creatures, and then there's the characters as well, and then there'll be a little bit of explanation at the end.